I wish I had known just how most things can be learned. I think I grew up with a sensation, with the idea of, some people have natural abilities to do certain things. Like you're a natural born salesperson, or you're naturally technical. You'll be really great at engineering or math, or whatever. And yes, that can be true. You may have an affinity for it, but you can learn outside of that. And particularly with me being from a technology space, one of the more impactful things for me was joining a marketing organization.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to 7 and 8 figures without burning out. Before Purple Circle, I started and scaled several 7 and 8 figure career coaching businesses myself and consulted with 2 career coaching businesses that are now doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or just building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Regan, and today's guest brings over 30 years of leadership, coaching, and strategy into the table, strategy experience. Kevin Barnhart is a certified executive leadership coach, technology strategist, and business consultant who's currently empowering professionals through his work at the Rainmaker companies. Kevin is focused on combining deep business and technology insights with calm, focused coaching style that helps senior leaders thrive even in chaos. From building high-performance teams to helping clients lead with grace through uncertainty, he brings a rare blend of empathy, expertise, and execution. His commitment to mindful productivity, leadership development, and community advocacy makes him a force for sustainable change in the executive space. We're excited to unpack his journey, his coaching philosophies, and the frameworks he uses to guide leaders towards growth and resilience. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Here, Kevin. So tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to become a coach and then also do this as a business.
So my journey started with me being an engineer and not necessarily being great at communication, and having to learn that skill over time. And then I realized that once I had a little bit more of those skills in play, it's that I was really good at communicating with different groups of people. So not only talking to business folks, talking to technology people, and then I could help shape their journeys and the things that they wanted to do. So that versatility is what really attracted me to the coaching profession.
How many years have you been doing this also as a business?
For the past few years as a business, I think I've been doing what I will call informal coaching the majority of my career. I was just doing it all the time. Then I finally decided to focus, really narrow in on it and focus on it as a business as well.
And which part of your coaching journey do you find the most rewarding since you started doing this as a business?
I'm definitely thrilled most with just the one-on-one working with people, helping them uncover what their goals are. People will say certain things. It's like, what's your real motivation for that? What are you really trying to accomplish? And then once we drill down into that space, then we can really start to lay out a program path for them to achieve the things they want to achieve. And a lot of it is getting people to get out of their own way. We're some of our worst critics. We tell ourselves what we can't do, all the time. So I love helping people see past those, self-imposed barriers.
When it comes to the people that you're working with, do they fit in a specific target group that you're typically working with?
I like working with folks who are at a transition point. So that could be, someone who's just starting off their career and they're looking for a new challenge. It could be someone who's in a mid-career looking for a change. It could be a CEO who's also looking to maybe expand their business with some other goals in mind, like increasing personal time, things like that. So my framework and approach kind of works for everyone. So I don't necessarily focus in on, I only want new college grads. I don't do that, or just only senior leadership executives. So it depends on where you find me. I'm going to meet you where you are and let's talk about what your goals are.
And currently, in terms of like them finding you or you finding them, what marketing channel is working best for you? How do people get to work with you?
Yeah, right now, the best mechanism to reach me is through LinkedIn. I like to do that just so I can have a one-on-one conversation with someone, talk a little bit about what they're looking for and see if we're a good fit to work together and then go from there.
So mostly LinkedIn. Is there any strategy on LinkedIn that helps you, or mostly people are just coming in organically?
Mostly organically, but what I've been trying to do is communicate more with the general audience of just talking about my Grace platform, how that works, and rolling that out through a series of articles and posts that I've done on LinkedIn just to introduce people to the concept of that. And that's been working pretty well.
You're basically reaching out to them if you feel that you kind of like pre-qualify, let's say, an audience, and then you reach out to them and just talk about Grace.
Yeah, I'm talking about Grace, and then that typically resonates with folks, and then they'll reach out to me, and then let's talk a little bit more how I can potentially help them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And moving away just from marketing, looking into the future, do you have any goals that you're working towards for the next 1 to 3 years with the business, with the coaching business?
Yeah, one of the things that I think about with the Grace platform or framework is that it's pretty versatile and I can take it in several different directions. So I started off with the leadership component of that, but it also applies to consulting in other areas as well that I have experience in. So I'd like to continue to roll that out and offer classes and other things around that entire platform. Because I think it's that versatile and that helpful. It's pretty simple, easy to understand. And so I think just continuing to work on that as well.
Have you made any investments over the years that you feel that actually were very valuable in growing the coaching business?
I would say first is just doing the certification, kind of putting structure around some of the ideas that I had in my head all along, but putting a little bit of structure to that. That was very helpful. Other things that I do is constantly learning from different sources, just whatever may be going on in the industry as a whole, technologies, what help people run their businesses more efficiently. Are you using things like CRM systems? Are you doing things like Monday.com? How are you using those things to help your business? The more I know about those things, the better I can help you do that. So it's a lot of informal education on my part, just because I'm naturally curious and I want to lean in to understand as much of that as possible, so I can then turn around and help clients with it. Or if if something turns out to be more buzzwordy than actual meaty content that somebody really needs, like you might want to stay away from that and think about some of the more core functions of what's actually going on.
When it comes to the certification, which one was that?
I went through Center for Executive Coaching. I did that one, and I really liked it. It was a very practical approach, and I really enjoyed that because it matched how I think about these things. So that's why it was really, a colleague had recommended that particular program to me, and I looked into it. It's like this fits. And
This was mostly to help with the coaching part of your business, like with actually doing the coaching.
Yeah, actually doing the coaching. Talk about some of the things like pricing and that as well, just different ways to go about that, which is also useful.
Before you started your coaching business, is there something that you wish you had known before you started scaling? Maybe like an unexpected lesson learned or even expected lesson learned?
Oh, that's a great question. I wish I had known just how most things can be learned. I think I grew up with a sensation, with the idea of, some people have natural abilities to do certain things. Like you're a natural born salesperson, or you're naturally technical. You'll be really great in engineering or math, or whatever. And yes, that can be true. You may have an affinity for it, but you can learn outside of that. And particularly with me being from a technology space, one of the more impactful things for me was joining a marketing organization. And once I joined the marketing organization, my world kind of really opened up, because now I realize that technology doesn't sell itself. You have to craft a story for it. You have to tell the story of it. How does it work? How does it benefit? And I didn't realize at the time, but that's really moving you into a consulting space. That's really helping you understand how all these things work together. Had I just stayed strictly in an engineering capacity, I might not have ever discovered all these other things that I really enjoy.
And when it comes to the rainmaker companies, how like are you currently? You mentioned that you're not right now full time in there.
No, well, the way Rainmaker works is that they contract mainly with accounting firms who are doing business development. And so these are typically accounting career professionals who are now faced with the challenge of business development. And so we take them through a process that they learn how to then basically develop business, do sales. How do you do that? How do you, develop like and trust? How do you do all the things that are required for you to become an effective sales person, business development person? So that's the focus of that training. And then we do coaching in support of that. So how are things going? What have you tried? What's working well? What are still some of your challenges? And work with them that way as well.
Cool. And so is this what I'm trying to understand is this something that you're doing part-time and then the most of your time is focused on your own coaching business?
Most of my stuff is on my own. I do work with Rainmaker part of the time.
Okay, cool. What would you say, the next question is, what would you say is the biggest challenge you're currently facing in further scaling your coaching business or getting it to where you want it to be from now?
I think mainly just reaching out. I think the whole marketing piece is a bit of a challenge, just understanding how to contact as many folks as possible who are likely to be receptive to what you have. Every coach isn't for everyone, all of those things, like really narrowing down to figure out that particular piece can be a bit of a challenge.
So reaching out to people who are qualified to work with you.
Yeah, not only qualified to work with me, but who are looking for the types of things that will help them get where they want to be, so that my message kind of resonates with them. So they're seeing it like, oh, I like this guy's approach. This makes a lot of sense. I want to work with him.
So getting that and getting the ones that are interested and the ones that are, and they also should be qualified as well. Cool. And that makes sense. It's definitely a challenge that we faced also when it comes to reaching out to the audience that like the interest is hard to figure out. Like you cannot, it's very difficult to figure out unless you're actually talking to the person.
Yeah.
You might at least pre-qualify them when on the reach out, but yeah, definitely takes a lot more time. And your time is also limited when it comes to how much you can put into marketing.
Right. And like you said, if you're not really talking to them one-on-one, it's really hard to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to connect unless you're doing that one-on-one, which is why it's such a challenge.
Yeah, it's hard to understand the interest. Even if you find like people who are very active on LinkedIn, they don't always share their real interest on it. So yeah.
Right. And it's one of the things that can be seen as a luxury. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a luxury item. I don't have time for this. I don't know what these fees are going to be. All of these things that can hold people back from making that decision to just go for it and try it out. I will use sports as an analogy. No one doubts the need for coaching sports, right? Everybody needs it. It's just very direct and everybody gets that. When it comes to business and our career, it becomes questionable. Like, do I really need this? Can I just figure this out on my own? Can I just ask my cousin or, whatever else that may be? And there is a real value to having, professionals who understand and have vast experience in the market to help you guide your journey.
How do you handle it when someone says, "Oh, I think I can figure it out on my own"? How do you help them understand the real value of coaching?
You can just ask us, how has that been going for you so far? You've tried some things on your own. It's not in a judgmental way. It's just you try some things. How's that going? what do you wish you had done differently? What have you learned from that? And then see where your particular offerings line up with the things that they may have missed. You know, that type of thing. Just having a different conversation with them about that so they can understand, yeah, there is a benefit for this. And the other part is, I think one of the more important parts of this is that they're focused on their career. They don't necessarily know the things that coaches may know. So getting some outside eyes on this can be really good for you. Can be really good for your career.
Thank you. Thank you also for sharing the question that would get deeper into them actually understand the value of coaching versus seeing as something that they can figure on their own. Because obviously, everyone, like if they had all the knowledge, all the experience, and they were an expert at everywhere, they could do it on their own.
They can do it on their own. Yeah, they don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously, if you don't have that experience, if you don't have that knowledge, then having a coach would like make it so much faster than you trying through trial and error on your own. Yeah. So, yeah, is there any final advice you'd like to give to other coaches who are looking to scale their impact?
Just really taking the time to have a real honest conversation with people. Be authentic, be yourself. You know, don't try to, you know, do the best coaching advice you've ever heard kind of thing. Versus how do you connect with people? Yeah, I'm pretty good at getting people to open up and just tell me what's going on with their business. And people are pretty receptive to that. So I feel like just being your authentic self and being able to really communicate with people in a clear, easy way, understand what's suspending judgment. Like, you know, you may see them making a mistake. You know, oh my God, why would you do that? That's so terrible. Just let that go. Listen, hear them out, you know, hear what they've done, understand why they did it. You know, lean into that a little bit. Tell me more about why you did that. What led you to that decision? Why did you think hiring a bunch of people right away was great? Did they understand, you know, their objective? Were they trained? Like all of those things matter, right? So just, I guess that's a long-winded way of saying take your time, really try to understand your client, where they're going, and then, you know, I think that most coaches know the rest of it once you kind of get to that. What are you really trying to accomplish? They have to trust you and feel comfortable enough with you in the beginning to really do that.
So try to dig into what they're actually trying to do while also having them be comfortable with you at the same time.
Being attuned to things that aren't said, right? People don't always come across and tell you, okay, here's my top 3 problems, and here's, you know, it's not an easy list like that. So they're telling you one thing, but there's a couple of other things that they're not talking about. And so listen to them long enough, you'll start to figure out what those patterns are.
Try to understand the underlying issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes your goals may seem contradictory. It's like you want to do this, but you want to do this as well. Like, well, how do we, you know, really drill down to that?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kevin. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. For anyone who wants to reach out to you and connect with you, they can go into LinkedIn, Kevin Barnhart, and they can reach out to you there.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to 7 and 8 figures without burning out. To learn more about Purple Circle, our community, and how we can help you grow your business, visit joinpurplecircle.com.